Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Gaming with me, Tony Mo, and the time is upon us. We're here today to talk a little bit about No Man's Sky. It's officially in my hands, or at least in the hands of all of the PlayStation 4 users out there. I know everybody else on PC is going to be waiting a couple more days, but trust me guys, as long as you've had your expectations in the right place, you're going to be really impressed with No Man's Sky. And for me personally, as someone who was really excited about the game, I actually ended up being impressed and then some. There's a lot of things that the game has done that I knew it was going to do, but the way they ended up executing those things and the way that I've ended up, like connecting with those things emotionally has really genuinely impressed me. We're not going to get too much into any of that stuff today, though. I'm just going to give you guys some really brief first impressions, and we'll also talk a little bit about my starting planet. As I said, I do want to try and keep this week's content as spoiler-free as possible. Trust me, there are actually plenty of things you can spoil inside of No Man's Sky, which is why this footage of me on the starting planet here, repairing my ship to head out into space for the first time, is going to be quite edited to try and avoid some of the early game choices and decisions that are presented to you that I feel are definitely spoilers. These are things that I want to see people run into for the very first time on their own. I will briefly mention, though, that you are going to be asked to accept or deny a sort of quest line. And if you're out there and you haven't played the game yet, you're going to be playing it on PC, you haven't picked it up on PS4 yet, do yourself a favor, accept that quest line. That's all I'm going to say. It's going to be there as a sort of guiding tool as you spend time in the No Man's Sky universe, and it's going to help you discover some very interesting mysteries. It's not going to give you many answers, but it's going to present some mysteries that I thought felt really quite special. And I think on top of that, it added to the sort of mystique of the No Man's Sky universe. And it's just totally worth it. So do it. That's all I'm going to say. Of course, it's up to you at the end of the day, but my recommendation is to do it. So the planet that I spawned on, or started on, I should say, in the Euclid Galaxy is known as the planet of Nodal Dag Nyag. It's a super hot planet that is in direct sunlight. It's about 55 degrees Celsius roughly during the daytime. It has some radiation and some toxicity levels, but nothing super serious. Really, the main problem with this planet was the heat. It was a very hot planet, so my exosuit was constantly taking heat damage and slowly breaking down. Nothing really extreme, though. It was definitely a good planet to spawn on, in that I didn't have to run around in a state of panic, constantly worrying about my suit's energy shields getting torn down by toxic radiation and things of that nature. But nonetheless, definitely a planet-sized sauna, essentially, is what it was. So there were some small concerns for me while on the planet trying to gather my equipment, as someone who was still trying to wrap my head around the game and what it was all about. The planet itself, though, was super beautiful in a weird kind of, like I said, heat sauna way. That's one of my favorite things about the game that I've noticed early on, in the first like 3 to 4 planets that I jumped to and that I visited, was that the color palette and the sort of way that they've designed the atmosphere, the sort of saturation or the fog that exists on different planets, the color of that, the density of it, helps the player identify whether or not the planet's hot or cold or toxic or filled with radiation. Like, you can know all of those things without even looking at the information regarding the planet, just based, again, on the way the environments have been designed and generated. And that's pretty wicked impressive. One of the other things, too, I think I should mention this because it is a procedurally generated game, and a lot of us were talking about this, is how impressive, or how impressed I've been by the procedural generation thus far. About 3.5 to 4 hours into the game now, and there are definitely similarities between things. As you go from planet to planet, you see creatures and flora and fauna. There will always be similarities because they're based on what we know as human beings. But I think the number of similarities is unprecedentedly low. I would boldly say, from what I've experienced thus far, that the procedural generation in No Man's Sky is some of the best procedural generation out there. It's obvious that the numbers, the math behind No Man's Sky is unique and impressive. Let's just put it that way. I'll leave that up for you guys to decide more on your own as you play the game. But I walked away more impressed than I thought I was going to be. And that's been a big driving force for the game for me. If you recognize what No Man's Sky is, either now or once you start playing it, you'll probably come to the conclusion that no matter what you do, whether you decide to be a trader or, actually go out into the space and try and dogfight people, or maybe you just want to be an explorer, you want to document wildlife, whatever you decide to do, at the forefront of that experience, the core of what is going to help you go from point A to point B to C to D and so on and so forth, while still having a sense of awe, a sense of wonderment, is going to be the procedural generation. It's going to be the planets, the flora, and the fauna. It's impossible, I think, for a game to maintain that human emotion infinitely, but I think No Man's Sky, at least what I've played so far, is going to be able to do that at a higher level than just about any other open world exploration-based game out there. And it's because of its procedural generation. We'll see how I feel 10, 15, 20 hours from now, but in the first 4 hours, I still have plenty of reasons to go to the next horizon, to go to the next planet, to head out into space, to go to that moon, to go to that space station. The game has constantly been feeding my curiosity, and that's pretty spectacular. I'm interested to see how I feel 10 hours from now, but I'll admit early on there was a point when I was playing the game where I was trying to wrap my head around everything, and there was a second in my head where I'm like, I could see how someone could get bored. But for me, the appreciation of the world design, maybe my appreciation or my ability to appreciate is higher than the average person's. That's been a big driving force for me. I really like just going to another planet, and I'll walk around for 40 minutes just scanning everything on the planet, taking in the surroundings, exploring caves and looking at the wildlife and watching the wildlife interact with one another or interact with the environment. And there's definitely fun little bits and pieces to be picked apart, to be identified, and to witness if you take the time to really take in everything that these planets have to offer. And well beyond that, which we're not going to talk too much about today, there's actually a lot more. So that's what we're going to talk about tomorrow, guys. I'm going to show you the planet that I'm on currently. We'll talk about my ship and, kind of where I'm going in the game right now. I'll talk about some of the discoveries I've made, and we'll go a little bit deeper into some of the bigger discoveries and mysteries that exist in the No Man's Sky universe that I've encountered. We'll still keep it spoiler-free, but we'll talk a little bit about some of the things that have definitely emotionally fed me to go one step forward and another step while playing No Man's Sky. So we're going to leave it at that, guys. Like I said, I don't want to go too deep into it. I hope you enjoyed a brief look at my starting planet as I finally get into my spaceship here and head out into space for the very first time. That was a incredibly satisfying moment. And since then, I've had quite a few more incredibly satisfying moments, which we'll talk about more tomorrow and in the coming days while I continue my coverage of No Man's Sky. If you've played it on the PS4 and you want to share some of your early experiences with everybody else, feel free to do so in the comment section below. Please keep things as spoiler-free as possible. That means don't talk at all about... yeah, random accent there. Don't talk at all about that main questline type thing that I mentioned. Let's keep that, really mysterious for everybody. Let's just leave it in the dark for those people who haven't played the game yet, whether they're looking to play it on PS4 in the coming days or on PC in the coming days. But feel free, like I said, to talk in a more general sense about your early No Man's Sky experiences. If there's anything that's really stood out to you as being more impressive than you thought it was going to be, or maybe less impressive, let us know down in the comment section below. Let me know. I'd love to get a discussion flowing with you guys on this. And I'll see you tomorrow for more No Man's Sky.